Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Trolleheim with your host, Rabbi Anibal. Welcome, Elkanah. Hello, Brenda, Amparo, David, Janet, Shelley. Who else is here? Erin, you are here as well. Very good. Welcome, everyone. And yes, Brenda is the last one for the season. Welcome, Randy. Welcome to the class. Last one for the season, then we go into the summer hiatus. I know it's sad. Everything is ending. I just posted something on my social media, right? That I was teaching at one of the schools here, and the kids made me a beautiful booklet at the end, but it's kind of sad because it's the end of the cycle. All the cycles are finishing now, so we go into summer mode. Everyone, you're my witness. I just finished. It's funny because I was having a single shot of espresso, and I finished it during the timer. I finished during the timer. I couldn't even wait until the beginning of the class. Sorry, guys. I just was craving the coffee. So everything goes to the summer mode. But summer mode for me is. It's also good, not because of the holidays, not because of your thing, because I barely taken anything. It's because because I have, some of my bar mitzvah students are on holidays, and I don't have Trolleheim and other things. So I am super productive in other things. I get very creative, and I produce many of the things that then I use during the year, especially music for the high holidays. Yeah, Erin, you say free time. Yeah, free time. I know they're always things, but no, I have time, and I work on music for the high holidays. For example, for the family service, we were just having a board meeting on Monday, and they already told me that they are expecting after the high holidays 2 family services per month, not just one. So that it's a good challenge. I have to produce more things, so this is the time where I put it all together, because I know that once everybody start coming back from their holidays, I won't have time for anything, and then the high holidays are right around the corner. So yeah, hello Lori, welcome to the class. Well, it's nah, not soccer. I don't watch the World Cup. Messi is good, yes, but I don't get into it. I am too busy to watch soccer, so it just I doesn't get me excited or anything. No, not at all. I've been excited with. I had a very musical last couple of weeks. You guys that you connect online to our services, you probably notice Bonnie, that she plays the flute, right? So I wrote like 4 or 5 new arrangements for her for future services, so we can she will have an opportunity to play more for us. Wait for those, because they are big pieces with big arrangements, and I had a lot of fun. I like challenging myself with stuff like that. So you're gonna tell me what you think once she comes back and play the new arrangements that I wrote for her. You'll see. Shelley, you said Devar Torah in the morning. I think that I'm not booked for a Devar until something like July 4th. And I know July 4th because I'm pretty much flying solo. Everybody else is on holidays. So I already convinced my son to come on July 4th, God willing, to play the jambi, the drums. He plays for the family service. And sometimes he comes, at the end of the service, and he plays a little bit for the Adon Olam, but he's never done a whole service. I'm trying to convince him to do more of that. So we'll see. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to study today's parsha, and it's a very, very interesting parsha, Parshat Korach. Interesting character, Korach. He rebelled against Moses and Aaron. Well, actually, he was mostly against Moses, but he was able to get allies that there were other people who were not interested in Moses' job, but they wanted Aaron's job. They wanted to be the priests. So he was able to get all these people that they were not happy with the situation, the way it was, and was able to gather something like 250 people to be with him, to challenge Moses. And I will give you, spoiler alert, it doesn't end well for Korach and his followers. They have basically 3 different punishments. Number 1, there was a fire that consumed some of them. Then the ground opened up, swallowing some others. And then even after that, there was a plague that started to kill people around, mostly, followers of Korach, until Aaron put a stop on that. Difficult to imagine, but the Torah says that Aaron placed himself in between the plague and the people, holding his incense pan or something. I don't know how it's called, but then he stopped that. Aaron, is it the donkey? But no. This is Balak. That is Balak, the one for the donkey. This is Korach. So the order is Korach, then you have Hukat, then you have Balak, and then you have Pinchas. Okay? Korach, Hukat, Balak, Pinchas. That's the thing. But this year, Hukat, Balak are together. So if you want to study a little bit about, I know, because we are not going to have a Torah L'chaim for Hukat Balak, but if you tune in on Saturday afternoon, we have a bar mitzvah, and the kid is my student, so he's going to talk about Hukat and Balak and the talking donkey. He's going to talk about that during his Var Torah. So it's very good. It's a very good one. So remember, it's this Saturday at 5:30. My student Jackson, he's going to talk about the donkey. Okay. Janet said, they didn't learn from Miriam's case of leprosy. Well, they didn't learn from so many other things. So, yeah. Okay, so let's study a little bit about Korach. Who was this character? And the rabbi have a lot of things to say about Korach. For instance, let's go here. I will bring the beginning of the parsha. What it says, Va'ikach Korach v'nitzar ben Kehat ben Levi v'Datan v'Aviram b'nei Eliav v'On ben Pelet b'nei Reuven. It says, and Korach, the son of Izhar, the son of Kehat, the son of Levi, took, and Datan and Aviram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Pelet, the sons of Reuven. Well, let me tell you that just out of the bat, there is a problem with this verse. And it is that the Torah never tells us what Korach took. It says, Va'ikach Korach, and Korach took. Okay? But what? Didn't say. So now we have a question to answer. And the rabbis try to guess and to explain what is that Korach took. Okay? So if you have a guess, you want to share it, use the chat to let me know. Before I go to the next one, because it's a good one, it's a good exercise to try to understand, try to guess, and this is almost like an educated guess. What did Korach take? What did Korach take? Any takers there? Let me know in the chat. I will wait a few seconds. And if there is no comments, I will move on. But I want to give you a chance, guys. Don't cheat. Don't go to Google. Don't ask ChatGPT. Just let me know. Let me know what you think that Korach took. Welcome, Ariel Lee. You're never late. Never late. And remember, guys, if you missed anything of this class, you can always go back and replay it. By the way, I won't be able to restream it tonight because we have the Kavod evening here at Shul. So there is an overlap with the times. The Kavod evening is at 7 and it's not going to finish. I don't know, depends on how many speeches we have. Sometimes they go until 10 p.m., right? So I won't be able to rebroadcast. Maybe I will do it late at 11 p.m. or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I'm going to do. But yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so any guesses? What did Korach take? Nope. 1, 2, 3. Let me go to the next slide. Oh, Janet. He took some of the Levites from the service of Hashem. Guessing? Okay, that's very good. Very good. So, Janet, your guess, he took people, right? He took people. That is a very good guess. He took people with him, especially because right after it mentioned the names of Datan, Aviram, and On. Okay, Datan, Aviram, and On. Three people. Maybe that's what he took. Maybe, but the rabbis actually can't even agree on what he took. Hello, Carol Rose. Welcome to the class. He took Moshe's kavod, you said? Okay, kavod, the honor, Moses' honor. Okay. Ariel Lee. David, he's also tennis fan. Big tournament, sir. Okay, thank you for the sports talk. I guess, Ariel, you missed the beginning of the class when we were talking about the World Cup. So we are taking a break from sports right now. So let's see the list. What's different commentators says. So Rashi says Korach took himself to a different side. Very good. Korach took himself to a different side. Next, Ramban, the Nachmanides, he said he took a counsel into his heart. Okay, bad advice, you will say. Bad advice. Sometimes we take that, bad advice. And then even Ezra, Chizkuni, and Janet from our class said he took other people. Very good, Janet. You are in tune with Ibn Ezra and Chizkuni. Very nice. And then Seforno will be similar, but he will be more specific. Seforno will say he took the 250 national leaders. So he narrows it down to who did it. Okay? And then last but not least, Resh Lakish in the Talmud, he took a bad deal for himself. We're going to go back to the Talmud because there is a very interesting theory there that I want to share with you. Yeah. Randy, you said, is this Korach the same person mentioned in the daily prayers, son of the Korach? Okay, so those are the children of Korach. Okay? He's a different person but the same family. Interestingly enough, Korach was a bad dude, a bad person who ended it really badly, but it looks like his children were not poisoned by their father's character. Okay? They were not poisoned by their father's character, which is very interesting. I don't want to go there today in this class, but I do want to mention that this is something that is extremely rare, but not impossible. What do I mean with that? It's extremely rare to see a family where individuals can break the circle of dysfunction. When you have a dysfunctional family or dysfunctional parents, let's take Korach, and you will see in a minute when we go to the Talmud, Korach and also his wife. They are presented as a very dysfunctional couple, which in theory it should have affected the way their children grew up. And it's very common. When you see dysfunction in a family, chances are that if you analyze who were the parents and grandparents of those people who you consider dysfunctional, you will also most likely see dysfunction in those households, right? And the cycle of dysfunction is very difficult to break. But once in a while, we know people that they are courageous and they take upon themselves to be the last one to carry this function into the next generation. And sometimes they do therapy and they improve their lives and they can realize and they can detect and correct this function. Or sometimes, they are able to do it with the help of friends or with the help of their partner, the new partner, who help them figure out what is wrong. And they can overcome this function and to break that cycle. And again, without going into detail, some rabbis will say that that's exactly what happened with the children of Korach. That despite their dysfunctional parents, they were able to be different and to create a better future for their own children. Okay? Rare. It's rare. It's rare. There are studies, for example, of people in jail that they realize that sometimes their parents were also in jail or criminals or things. So it's something that is very difficult, but the Torah is telling us that it's not impossible, that we can break that and to become and to create a different future. So, yeah. But, but thank you, Randy, for mentioning the children of Korach. They are part of the book of Psalms. Absolutely. Okay, so I want to bring one more midrash before we go back to the Talmud. Now, let's start by asking a question. What moved Korach to start the quarrel, the rebellion? What was the motivation? And then the midrash will say he was moved to it by the fact that Elitzaphan, the son of his father's brother, was appointed prince over his family. As it says in the book of Numbers, and the prince of the father's house of the families of the Kehathites was Elitzaphan, the son of Uzziel. Korach argued. Listen to this. Hold on a minute. My father was one of four brothers. Okay, as it says, and the sons of Kehat, Amram, Itzar, Hebron, and Uzziel. As for Amram, the firstborn, his son Aaron attained to greatness, and Moses to royalty. Who then should rightly take the next office? Is it not the next in line? Now, I, being the son of Itzhar, should by right be the leader of the Kehathites. Yet Moses appointed the son of Uzziel. Shall the son of the youngest of my father's brothers be superior to me? Behold, I shall dispute his decision and put to naught all that has been arranged by him. So in other words, he thought he was entitled to a different position. And he wasn't, it's not that he said, okay, maybe I should go and discuss this with Moses. No, I don't like what I see. I will make trouble. And then you will see that he doesn't just go for a position of leadership in front of the Kehathites. He goes for everything. And then all of a sudden, we have not just Korach. He was able to convince other people that they were also unhappy because they were not entitled to the position that they thought they should be. He was able to get them all together into a little rebellion against Moses, which is fascinating, right? You have an issue with somebody, and then all of a sudden, it's not just enough to go and settle things with that person. You wanna destroy it now. Is that the level of hatred that you develop? So it's very weak. All these stories, I think we can all relate to all these stories that are being very contemporary. And with petty fights and stuff like that. It's not good enough for me to win an argument against you. I have to destroy you, right? Because of what you did to me. Sounds familiar? I don't know about you, but I hear it all the time. Let's continue. The next ones. So, let's go to the Talmud now. Because the Talmud mentions something, notice something very interesting. Let me go back here to the first slide. Listen to this. It says, Korach, let's count together. Korach, okay? Then it says Datan, then it says Aviram, and then it says On. right? On. So there were 4 people, Korach, Datan, Aviram, and On. But then the interesting thing is, this is the last time, the first and last time that we read about On ben Pelet. So if he was part of the rebellion, how come after this verse we keep hearing about Korach, Datan, and Aviram, but never again about On, the son of Pelet? What happened to him? Where is he now? How come he disappeared? So the Talmud bring him back in a very interesting midrash that it goes like this. Listen to this. It says, Rav says, On, the son of Pelet, did not repent on his own. So it's not that he quit the rebellion because all of a sudden he realized by himself that he was wrong. Okay? Rather, his wife saved him. She said to him, Listen, you fool, what is the difference to you? If this master Moses is the great one, then you are the student, right? Moses is up here, you are down here. Okay, fine. Now, if this master Korach is the great one, you are still down here, you are still a student, right? So in other words, look, Moses is in charge and you are down here. Do you think that when Korach come and take the power, you're going to be any better? You're still going to be where you are. Korach want everything for himself. So, and I will continue reading for her. Why are you involving yourself in this matter? Wake up. Look that there is nothing for you to gain and a lot for you to lose, right? So On realized this and said to her, What shall I do? She said to him, Sit, for I will save you. So she gave him wine to drink and caused him to become drunk and laid him on a bed inside their tent. She sat at the entrance of the tent and exposed her hair as though she were bathing. Okay? Anyone who came and saw her step back. Oh, there is a woman there. I won't look. Right? In the meantime, the assembly of Korach was swallowed into the ground, and On, son of Pelet, was spared. So, why couldn't he just quit? And the Talmud, if you go to the Talmud, there are explanations around. You will say that what happened is On ben Pelet said to his wife, Look, I already promised them. I made a formal oath that I was going to join the rebellion. So in the Torah, when you make an oath, there is no way out. You have to go ahead with it regardless of the consequences that you may figure out after. Now, long story short, eventually in the Talmud, eventually the rabbis kind of changed that and created a ceremony called Atarat Nedarim, where you can break an oath if you can successfully explain to a group of rabbis, to a Beit Din, why it was a mistake for you to take the oath, okay? And they can, through this ceremony, get you out. Sorry, guys. I think I lost the connection for a minute. I got here. So, good again. I will say it again in case you didn't hear it. What it says here, what the Talmud also says, is that On made this promise. Now he couldn't break it, so it was against the Torah law at the time to break a promise. They had no rabbis to break it. So the wife said, "Okay, you promised it, so I'm going to save you." And she created all this thing of pretending she was taking a bath so nobody would come to pick up On to go confront Moses, and so she spared his life. Okay? Very good. But now, the interesting thing, and is that, if the Talmud could have finished there, but the Talmud continues now and say, what about Korach's wife? because we just read about On Ben Pelet's wife, and she was great. She was awesome. She was smart. She was wise. Okay, but what about Korach's wife? Let's go read. It's getting interesting, eh? Listen to this. Korach's wife said to him, "See what Moses is doing. He is the king. He appointed his brother high priest, and he appointed his brother's sons deputy priest. If teruma comes, the offerings, the gifts that people will bring to the priest. If teruma comes, he says, let it be for the priest. If the first tithe comes, which you as Levites take, he said, not so fast, give 1/10 to the priest. And furthermore, he cuts your hair and waves you as if you are as insignificant as excrement. As though he set his sight on your hair and wishes you to be shaven and unsightly." So it looks like Korach has a beautiful hair. So what basically she is saying, look, Moses created all this scheme just to shave you, to deprive you from this wonderful hair you have, to humiliate you in front of everybody. Right? Listen to this. But Korach said to her, "What are you saying? Didn't he also do so? He shaved his hair like the rest of the Levites." So she said to him, "Since it is all done for his own prominence, he also said metaphorically, 'Let me die with the Philistines.' He was willing to humiliate himself in order to humiliate you." Okay? So in other words, listen to the level of paranoia that this woman had, that she thought that Moses ordained that all the Levites should shave their head, including Moses, because he was part of the family, including himself, just to humiliate Korach. Because I guess, according to her, he had the best hair in town. Moses maybe not so much. So Moses didn't care to shave his head, but he did it just to humiliate Korach. It's interesting that Korach didn't even think that low of Moses, but his wife convinced him to hate Moses and to go for everything. So what do we have here? Two perfect examples of two spouses. And of course, in this case, they're wives, but could be a husband, right? Doesn't really matter. It's talking about a spouse and how careful we have to be when we choose our spouse, because your spouse can make you or can destroy you. Your spouse can help you succeed and to be the best version of yourself, or all the opposite. All the opposite. It can drag you down on their own fantasies of what the way should be. So we have to be very careful. And the Talmud brings perfect example on how it could go two ways. I think it's fascinating how this can go two ways. Okay? So the Talmud continues, and it says, "This is the meaning of that which is written in the book of Proverbs. The wise woman builds her house." This is referring to the wife of On, son of Pelet. And then it continues, same verse. "But the foolish tears it down with her own hands." And this is referring to the wife of Korach. So the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 1 says, "The wise woman builds her house, but the foolish tears it down with her own hands," right? And according to the Talmud, the inspiration for that verse were these two wives, the wife of On and the wife of Korach. So to me, this is actually it's very interesting how our spouse is our biggest ally, and it should be our biggest ally, and to have the best intentions for ourselves. So let me know in the chat what you think about this, because I think this is also very current about the way we approach life when we talk about our spouse. I think it's a fascinating story and fascinating midrash, and all started in the heads of the rabbis, with them noticing that on Ben Pelet is mentioned at the beginning, and then never again. And this is why. Okay? Any comments there? Let me know in the chat. Other than Shelly Chochinov, I know that you wrote your opinion here. Yeah, you wrote your opinion. That's very nice that you did that. Okay, so let's continue with the rebellion. Now, listen to this. I like these comments that I want to share with you. Brenda, you said spouse should be the best friends and partner, must have mutual love and respect. Absolutely. And yeah. Yes, Shelley, exactly. I think you said it beautifully. Human nature hasn't changed much. I will say human nature hasn't changed at all from those days. We still have example of both ways, right? Okay, listen to this story that this Rebbetzin shared. She said, my friend Shoshana Lipon, the author of The Greatest Treasure and Heartbeats, gives the following explanation. A man is motivated by the desire for respect of his wife. On's wife was interested in building him up. She expressed concern for her husband's esteem when she asked, what are you going to get out of participating in Korach rebellion? On's wife was able to persuade her husband by caring about his honor and demonstrating that he had nothing to gain by joining Korach. Korach's wife, on the other hand, related to her husband in precisely opposite way. Instead of building him up, she put him down and degraded him, making fun of the way he looked after having complied with Moses' command to shave all his body hair. It was thus Korach's attempt to regain the respect of his wife that incited him to rebel against the authority of Moses. This is very interesting. This psychological analysis, right? That the whole rebellion was an attempt of Korach to regain the respect of his wife, right? He wanted to save face and show his wife that he was enough of a man to stand up against Moses and prevent being made a fool in her eyes. And how sad it is when we have to prove ourselves to our spouse, right? Instead of trusting that a spouse, always see the best of us and always have the best intentions for us. But this is something, I guess, that we have to be able to communicate. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning, when you see this interaction, of course, in the eyes of the Midrash, right? The interaction between Korach and his wife, yes, Shelley, family dynamics. That's what I mentioned, this cycle of dysfunction. Can you imagine the household of these two? The level of dysfunction that their children have to experience when you have this kind of marriage is very interesting. It's very interesting. The way they interact, these two. So that's why, again, it's kudos to the children that they did not buy into this model. And according to also the rabbis, they were able to have a different kind of adulthood. So it was very interesting. So let's continue here. Now, let's move on now. Because Moses received the visit of these people, right? Korach, Datan, Aviram, and On. And of course, then On disappears, but these four came to talk to him, right? And then they left. They expressed everything that they had to say to Moses. And they said to Moses pretty much also, look, we are not alone. We have all these leaders with us. And they left. So now what will Moses do? This is the question. So basically, listen to this. Moses sent to summon Datan and Abiram. Not On is not part of this anymore. It said, okay, guys, come and let's talk about this. Because Moses maybe thought, okay, maybe they may be right on some of their argument. Let's talk about this. So guys, come over. Let's go over, let's go out for a coffee and we'll talk about this over coffee. Okay? Something like that. But they said to Moses, we won't come up. No, we won't talk to you. Let's continue with the Torah. It says, is this such a mortal trifle, bringing us up from a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the desert? You see, you can already see where they're going. They're going Egypt, a land of milk and honey, where we all know that the Torah description, or the land of milk and honey, is the land of Israel, is what they were going to. Okay? So, again, let's go back. Sorry. Is it such a mere trifle, bringing us up from the land of flowing milk and honey to kill us in the desert, that now you arrogate to yourself the role of dictator over us? You haven't at all brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, and you haven't put us in possession of fields and vineyards. Do you think you can gouge us, these men's eyes, and blind them? We won't come up. So it's a very interesting argument that they bring. Very interesting argument. And again, Korach was a master manipulator, and he was able to blend truth with half-truth with lies. Okay? And remember, this is also after the fact that they were already punished. Remember the episode of the spies. So the 12 spies came back. 10 said that we won't be able to do anything. Let's go back to Egypt. God gets angry. And there is also a plague, some of them. So there is already discontent among the people, because now the whole project of going to the promised land is going nowhere for that generation. And when Korach says there, right, to kill us in the desert, he's kind of right, because they're all going to die in the desert. They are not going to be able to enter to the promised land. So Korach it's a smart guy. Smart guy, the way you can tell how he was able to convince other people, because he had the right arguments, except that he was not willing to sit down with Moses to listen to the other side. And when you have that, you can have a conversation, you can have a debate, or an argument. You cannot do it. And he said it at the end, we won't come up. Moses, you are done. We're going to destroy you. That's the way it is. Sorry. After that, now Moses was angry. And Moses said to God, please, don't accept that grain offering. I haven't taken one donkey from them. I've done nothing wrong to any of them. So basically, he was talking to God and saying to God, God, why are they so angry with me? I can understand they may be able with you, but what have I done wrong to them? Was I a bad leader? I took him out of Egypt. I was the one, risking my life going in front of Pharaoh and all the other things. And on top of that, it says, oh, maybe they think that I'm a bad leader because I took their money. Very common in these days, right? And as Shelley mentioned before, people haven't changed at all, right? And we see leaders all the time in this day and age that they become presidents or prime ministers, and then by the time that they're out with a mandate, all of a sudden they're millionaires. How did that happen? Where did that money come from? Right? So, but Moses said here, he said, unless that they think that I'm here to become rich. And I said, can't they see that I haven't even touched a donkey, one donkey from them? I have done nothing wrong to any of them. All I've been doing is doing whatever you God asked me to do. So it's a very interesting argument here that Moses. So again, as the same way that in the first part of the class, we saw the difference between the wife of On and the wife of Korach. Now we are going to also keep looking at two different models, two contrasting examples, one being Korach and one being Moses. So in other words, there is a hint here that if Moses is saying, I'm not here for the power, I'm not here for the money, guess what Korach is here for? Right? So now we can understand a little bit better all the motivation behind Korach's rebellion. He wanted the power, he wanted the money, he wanted the donkeys for himself. And Moses made it clear that it was not for them. It was not for him, right? Not a minor thing, what Moses just said, right? Now, let's continue. So, going back, Rashi points out the thing, that at the beginning of the verse, when said Moses sent a message. Come, guys, let's talk about it. Rashi said, okay, don't go so fast. Remember those words. Moses sent. And Rashi said, from where we derive that one should not persist in a dispute because Moses sought them out to conciliate them by peaceful words. In other words, Rashi understands from that Moses sent a commandment that you should not let a dispute stay on forever without being resolved. Just tackle it from the beginning. If you have an argument with somebody, let's okay. Let's talk about it, because otherwise this will prolong forever. We are going to be not nice to each other. We're going to be passive aggressive, and other thing is going to be toxic. So let's talk about that now. That's what Moses' proposal, and nevertheless, Korach said, no, I'm not coming. That's Korach. Yeah. Now, listen to this. Moses wanted to speak to their hearts and to offer them tochecha, rebuke, and they did not want to listen. Now, before we continue reading that, let me explain to you what tochecha is. Because there is a misunderstanding about the word tochecha, rebuke. It's not that Moses wanted to have it in front of them, to give them an earful. It's not that. Tochecha, it's something that according to the Talmud, you should never give to another person. This rebuke, the Jewish way we do rebuke, we should never give it to the other person unless you are qualified to do so. Otherwise it backfires. Can you imagine if Moses would like to sit with Korach just to let him know how wrong you are? How selfish you are. Oh, you're here for the money, you're here for the power. How do you think that conversation will go? When the Torah mentions the concept of tochecha, which Moses applied it multiple times, it means, let me try to explain to you why I think you are wrong. And again, I don't want to expand, I don't want to go too long on this, but according to the rabbis, the way we do tochecha has a lot of rules. It has to be done in private, has to be done without embarrassing the other person, right? And also, it has to be done in a way that if you know you're not qualified to do it, you should not do it. You should not do it. In fact, the Talmud brings 3 reasons why most people are unqualified to give tochecha, to give rebuke. Listen to this, because maybe you're somebody who likes to tell people what they are doing wrong. But the Talmud said that there are 3 reasons why, people should not do it. And they said, number one, because you're not qualified to do that. You're not qualified to do that. And that is the most important one. The other one was people don't know how to listen to Tochecha anymore, right? So one is you don't know how to do it. One, you don't know how to do it. The other one is people don't know, if you know that the person you have in front of you doesn't know how to listen. We all know people like that. Doesn't matter what you say, they don't know how to listen. They don't want to listen. So if you know you have in front of you somebody who doesn't want to listen or doesn't know how to listen, don't waste your time. And the third one, it says that nobody has the moral statue to give Tochecha anymore. In the sense that, you will talk to somebody and the person will say to you, who do you think you are? You are trying to correct me for something that you are famous for doing. So the Talmud already saying this. 3 reasons. We don't know how to talk to people. We don't know how to listen. And we don't have the moral statue to be the one saying it. So most likely we cannot do it. But Moses was different. He did have the moral statue to do it. He probably, he thought he knew how to, and he was hoping that Korach and his friends will listen to him. So he wanted to call them to give them Tochecha. The fact that they didn't want to come, it tells you right away where the failure was. They were within the category of people who didn't want to listen to Tochecha, to rebuke. Okay, let's continue. I will continue with the text. And this is a great wickedness. And therefore, it says right afterwards, Moses was very angry, for he saw that there was no hope that they should repent and that the community could continue to exist together as one. Not like the way of Hillel and Shammai acted, where one group would listen with their ears to hear the arguments of the other group, and when their words were right in their eyes, they returned to rule in accordance with the other side. And this is something that the rabbis bring all the time, the debates between Hillel and Shammai. Not Hillel and Shammai the person, because the rabbis also say that there were barely no disputes between Hillel and the Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Shammai. We are talking about their schools, their houses, right? The students, the disciples, future generation, the followers of them. They were arguing with each other all the time, but there were debates, and in many cases, one side recognized that they were wrong and they would accept the words of the other. That is the idea, and that is what Moses couldn't have with Korach. Okay? Yeah. That is it. And now, and again, my favorite part of the argument, when Moses said, I haven't taken one donkey from them. Right? Why would he say that? And again, nothing have changed from those biblical times to the 21st century. Listen what Forno says. I have not even made use of things which any ordinary person would borrow from his neighbor without giving it a thought. Right? This proves that my position of authority was exclusively used for their benefit and not for mine. Their present complaints prove only that they are extremely ungrateful, seeing that they have benefited from my leadership. Okay? So, then listen, a little bit more about this. Listen what Rabbeinu Bechaya says. Listen to this. It is usual for political leaders or rulers to arrogate to themselves the right to use other people and animals for their personal convenience and to let them perform chores on their behalf. In other words, leaders, sometimes they will talk about, your rights and things, but when it comes to them, they will take your thing whenever they want. Okay? It's almost like the rules don't work on them. Biblical times, modern days, not much have changed. Let me continue here. It says, this is why Moses in rebutting the accusations of Datan and Abiram that he had lorded it over the people, had to point out that he done nothing of the kind. He had not even used such an animal to carry his personal belongings. Not just to get your animal so I can say that I have more. Not even use it for something that is reasonable. Not even for that. Seeing he had not even used a beast of burden for his own personal use, how could he be accused of using people, I mean, his subject, for such a purpose? How then had he lorded it over the people? We find that the prophet Samuel also could say of himself, "Here I am, come forward against me in the presence of the Lord, and in the presence of his anointed one, whose ox or donkey I have taken, and whom did I defraud, of whom I have robbed, from whom have I accepted a bribe," etc. So basically, it's what it's saying here is it's not uncommon when we have a beef against a leader. The first thing that we accuse them of doing is taking our money, right? Oh, you are becoming rich on our behalf. But I would say here is not too many people can say, like Samuel or Moses, "Go ahead, audit me. Do an audit and see if I've taken anything from you. I have nothing to hide. I will give you all my," I don't know how to say it in modern terms without sound political, but I would say, "I will give you my tax returns if you want. Everything. No restraint. I have nothing to hide." I don't know, I heard that recently. I don't know where. Funny thing. But this is, in those days was exactly the same thing. Moses said to Korach, Datan and Abiram, "You want my tax return? Here it is. I've taken nothing from you. So what are you complaining? What are you complaining?" I love that story, guys. It's so current to let us know about different styles of leadership. The ones that they take advantage, and the ones that they are in a position of power to serve others. So whenever we are looking at our leaders, and we want to decide if our leaders are good leaders or bad leaders, all you have to do is look and ask, are they there, as a self-serving exercise, or to serve others? It's always a question when somebody enters into politics, right? Because we both know that they are both. Some people are there to serve others. Some others are there to serve themselves. By the way, we have, for example, the story of Joseph. Joseph was there at the beginning to serve himself. Remember the dream that Joseph had when he was in the center, and his brothers and even his mother and his father were there bowing down to him, and he was in the center, and he thought that the dream meant that he will be there so they can serve him. Remember that with Joseph? Now fast forward when he went to Egypt and he became the viceroy of Egypt, and the sons, his brothers and his father came. They didn't come to serve him. At the end, when Joseph finally removed his makeup and said, "I'm Joseph," is when he realized that he was there to serve them. Remember, he fed them, he found them a place to live, and so much more. But it took Joseph how many decades to understand that the dream didn't mean that God wanted other people to serve him, that the dream meant God wanted him to serve others. Moses understood that from the beginning. He was there to serve others. Korach didn't like that model. He wanted others to serve him. And we all know how that story ended. We all know. It didn't end well for Korach and his followers. But unfortunately, it also brought, distraction to other people that they were collateral on this story. So, yeah, that's why we have to be careful with the leaders we choose, right? Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. And thank you for joining me in the last class of the cycle. I know, we are going into 2 month hiatus now to enjoy our summers and to recharge our spiritual batteries and physical batteries as well, right? So hope to see you all when we come back. In the meanwhile, you can always go back to our archive. We have lots and lots and lots of Torah classes there that you can tune in if you are craving Torah. And hope to see you all after, okay? So until then, please stay safe, be blessed, have a wonderful rest of your day, have a wonderful summer. Wonderful summer. I hope to see you soon all. Bye, everyone.